Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational 80 podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's tech guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, I was an athletic director for a long time, and these are all companies that I used while I was an AED. They're all great companies. I recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes. Don't hit that fast forward button. Listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Tech Tuesday expert, and then go and visit these sponsors. As I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus for their support of the podcast. You've heard me say before, Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, communication. Their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. That's all you got to do. Homecampus.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Mention the podcast, sidelineinteractive.com. We want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. All of our coaches did. Our kids loved the videos. Our parents loved the streaming, but there is so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to thank our good friends at Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. They're used and trusted by over 20,000 different programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Whether it's a social media post, a newsletter sharing with your constituents what's happening in your district, or just posting results from last night's game, the Gipper team will have you creating world-class content in seconds. That's Gipper.com. As always, mention the podcast, Gipper.com. We want to thank our friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms, but if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown's the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. For more information, go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for everything kids, coaches, parents, you name it. And the information that came back was almost always over the top positive. But the surveys also connected us with those squeaky wheel parents or student athletes. And by hearing about their concern, usually a small one, we could keep it from turning into a big one. But having that other 98% overwhelmingly positive reports was tremendously valuable, especially when you're meeting with that frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD podcast. Regular listeners know that frequently on these segments, we allow our sponsors to give a little shout out to their product. And I'm excited today that we're doing one of those. The sponsor is Home Campus. You've heard me say in virtually every episode that I used it as an AD, and kind of my tagline is it's a platform that you're going to use every single day. And it's absolutely true. And to share a little bit more about the platform as well as his own background is one of my favorite home campus people, Kenny Yamamoto. Kenny is an account manager with home campus. I got to know Kenny firsthand as an AD as I was learning the platform. You've heard me say before, I'm not a tech guy. And even though it was very easy, there were still those times I had to call support. Kenny was always there. I'd send him an email, usually within 30 minutes. He was either emailing or calling me back. And I've got to know him a lot better now after retiring. But Kenny Yamamoto, welcome to the Educational AD podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Excited to be here.
Well, let's go and start this way. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. We're going to talk about home campus, but share a little bit if you can, where you were born, where you grew up. Tell us how you ended up, becoming part of the home campus team. As I like to say, tell us your life story in 2 minutes.
Sure. Born and raised in Southern California. I went to San Clemente High School, where I was a 3-year varsity athlete for boys water polo, 4-year varsity athlete for boys swimming. I continued my both careers at University of the Pacific up in Stockton. And so I've been an aquatic athlete my entire life. I met Christine Pally, who works for the CIS Southern section, through playing Masters water polo. And I came to home campus as a result of her relationship with Wes and Lindsay. So really, like I just kind of lucked my way into this situation, and it's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life.
Oh, wow. I want to go back. You and I have talked about this a little bit before at conferences, at the national conference, certainly. But, your athletic background, water polo is something I've never done as a participant. And I know that there's a technique, to, elevate yourself out of the water. What is, how does that all work?
So, the vertical movements in water polo are based off something called egg beater. Your legs kind of work in a circular motion, or breaststroke kicking, depending on like what technique you're using. But you use those to really propel yourself out of the water, to get the height to make a pass or shot block or take a shot or whatever it might be. So it's a great sport. I think I always tell my kids, I coach now, that it's one of the few warrior sports, where you go in and you go to battle every time you're in the water.
Yeah, my only reference to water polo shows you my sheltered life is that I think it's from the 50s or something in the Olympics. Was it the Hungarian team and the Russian team water polo, blood in the water? Is that something water polo people talk about still?
Yeah, it's a physical sport, and unlike unlike football, unlike hockey, there's really no protection.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and so you get hit. Sometimes it's malicious, and sometimes it's just a part of the game. So I know most of us have been to the ER to get stitches or to get glued up or whatever it might be. So it's just part of what we do.
Yeah, it's that the mom that won't let her kid play football, but oh no, you can play water polo. Yeah, yeah. Good call on that. Um, let's go and talk about home campus for listeners who might not be aware of it. Share what home campus is and just kind of some broad brushstrokes because we are going to take a deeper dive into some of the cooler features. But how would you explain home campus to an athletic director or a coach who just has not been up on, let's say, tech?
For sure. We try really hard to be a one-stop shop. Obviously, athletic directors have a lot on their plate. You guys wear a lot of hats. Um, and we really try to be, a hub for you guys to do everything and help you guys organize your day to day. For our clients in California and Florida, um, our platform integrates with the state, so you take care of some of your responsibilities like transfers and eligibility forms. But for our non-California users, it's scheduling, clearing your athletes, facility management.
Well, and you bring up a couple of great points there. Home campus is the official, let's say, information management platform for both California and Florida, two pretty high profile states. So the entire state is using home campus. And it is truly a one stop shop, whether it's scheduling, uploading rosters, results from games, communication with coaches or parents. But for me, the game changer for me as an AD, and I know for a lot of other ADs out there, um, is the athletic eligibility and clearance platform. And I got ahead of myself, and you already mentioned it. Even if your state does not, let's say they have another platform, or maybe there's not a mandated platform for that type of thing, as an individual school, as an individual AD, you can use the home campus platform for all the things we just mentioned, but particularly that eligibility, I'll get it out, athletic eligibility and clearance platform. Um, Kenny, go ahead and share, your how you have seen that platform really have an impact across the country, and again through California and Florida, or at individual high schools.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great platform. We digitize your athletic packet and we ask your parents to go through on our website to complete the registration process. They enter in all the information that you would have collected through paper anyway, and we give you access to review that information and update their statuses. There's a lot of cool tools that kind of go along with that. We do ask some medical history questions, which would show up on a digital emergency card, so coaches can access via our home campus app and see if an athlete, might be allergic to something or if they have a history of something in case there is an emergency. Um, Especially for schools that go from paper to our platform, the comments that we get typically are about how much space they're saving, just not having to keep papers around the office anymore. And the best compliment that I've received for from users who change to our platform from another digital platform is our customer service. And you mentioned that a little bit before, but we take a lot of pride in making sure that we get back to you and your parents as quickly as possible, trying to find solutions and making sure that if anything is broken or not operating properly, then we do our best to fix it right away.
Oh no, and you're absolutely right. The platform's easy enough. It works, extremely efficiently. But when something does come up, I know there maybe once a season, I would have an athlete, and for it, I've got all the paperwork in, and as you mentioned, it's digital. Okay, digital paperwork. So all the information is in the system. Uh, their physical is good. The permission slips are signed. They should be clear, but for whatever reason, it's marking that athlete red. And I would shoot you an email. Hey, I can't do this. You would get in there, and a lot of times you'd email me and say, Jake, it's fixed. I took care of it, and it might have been something that I had done wrong from the first place. But yeah, it's just such a time saver. You talked about the paper. When we converted to doing things digitally, I had a full four-drawer file cabinet with
Yeah.
our high school and middle school uh, folders, manila folders with the physical copy. Sometimes that was 3 or 4 pages from the doctor. The EL forms in Florida. We call them EL forms for the various checkoffs that our state required. All of those stapled together. I was able to get rid of that file cabinet, empty out the two accompanying file cabinets at my desk. It's all digital. And as you mentioned, I know you talked about the emergency forms that we want coaches to have with the contact information, et cetera. That used to be a stinking notebook with copies, Xerox copies of all of those paper forms. Now it's all on their cell phone in the app. The coach for that sport, soccer, swimming, whatever it is, they have access to that particular folder. If they, heaven forbid, had to take a kid to the hospital, they can access all that emergency information right there on their phone. There's signatures, there's permissions, all those things that you need. Hmm?
Yeah, exactly. We kind of going back to what I said earlier, we want it to be all centralized. We want you to be able to do a bulk of your work on our platform, so you can focus on, the things that really matter, like the sports.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that I still remember when we started using the platform. We had all of our student information, the names, the addresses, the dates of birth, parents, addresses, phone numbers, emails, grades, etc. All of that was in our school's operating system. But you guys at home campus magically imported all of that into our home campus account so that I wasn't, and we were a small school, let's say 400 in the high school, another, 350 in the middle school, so that I wasn't doing 800 data entries
Yeah.
myself. It was just literally, it was done for me.
Yeah, so that's the magic, like having your parents and students register, really make sure that you have the most up-to-date data. Sometimes when you're importing those student files over, you get records of students who may not go to your school anymore, may not be playing sports anymore, but by having them register, it really does a good job of trying to maintain only active athletes within your database.
Mhm. And the other neat thing, again, for Florida, and I'm going to guess California is probably the same way, is because Home Campus is the official platform for our state association. When we have a volleyball roster or a soccer roster, that is the quote official roster, and the state knows it. They can everything's been documented. You don't have to submit an additional form come playoff time. It really is a one-stop shop.
That's exactly it.
Um, Now, I'm going to guess we've got some listeners who are not in California or Florida that are thinking, hey, that sounds like a pretty good platform. How would I get started? So, obviously, reaching out to homecampus.com, or we're going to have you give out your email later on. Um,
Sure.
how how much work is that for the school AD to become a home campus school if their state's not using the platform?
It's not a lot of work. A lot of it is kind of at the beginning part where we do the setup, and there's always going to be a little bit of a learning curve. But we have great staff that will train you, that'll obviously answer any support phone calls or emails that you might have. But also, we're more than happy to jump on a Zoom with you guys and kind of walk you through anything that you're having trouble with. or just walking you through and just showing you some of our best practices on how we, you know, best envision our platform to be used.
You and I were talking, and you mentioned that there's some exciting new features that are going to be coming out. Can you share some of that with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. We've the first is we've expanded out our app. And in California, this is now eligible where coaches and athletic directors and athletic administrators can send messages to parents and athletes through the app. Parents and athletes will have the option to respond depending on the type of message that's sent. But instead of, something like a traditional text message or email, it'll send a push notification. It'll ask the parent and student to download the app, and then they'll see those push notifications that will let them know that there's a new message waiting for them. So uh, we can more easily communicate with our athletes and our parents. So we're super excited about the expanded app features. Also, we are delving into the world of athletic websites. And for those schools that already have a home campus account, it will automatically link your schedules, your scores, and your rosters, as well as having some customizable menuing options.
Wow. Now, you guys are always a big presence at the NADC conference in Austin. I assume you're going to have a booth there this year.
Absolutely. It'll be Rowan and myself this year.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Okay. So, any any tips for that first time attendee, how they can maximize their NADC experience?
Oh man, I think just the NADC conference is so big. There's so many vendors. And for me, I think just going out there and being curious and, finding things that you might want to be better. Us us as a company, we're always there to learn as much as we are there to sell. So if you guys have a platform that you use and you wish that you had features, even if you use our platform and you wish you had additional features or additional control or whatever it might be, we're there to learn and we're there to see how we can continue to make our platform better. So we're always looking for that feedback.
And that's one thing that I noticed as an athletic director using the platform, and even now after I've retired, that the company has always been so receptive to, suggestions and comments from our athletic directors here in Florida. And it seems like each year at the our state conference for FIAAA, you guys are always there and part of the presentation. And it was, hey, you guys said that you wanted this, and we've made that change. So that is so important. Uh, Kenny, the website homecampus.com, there's people, if you visit that, you can reach out. But if somebody wanted to reach out to you directly, find out more about the platform, how they could become a home campus school, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Sure. Email's probably the best way. You'll most certainly get me if you email me. My email is Kenny, Kenny at homecampus.com. If you're more of a phone kind of person, you can always give us a call as well. Our support line's 562-206-2486, and we have a great staff. So even if you don't get me, whoever answers the phone would be great at helping you guys out and learn more about our company.
Oh no, I can vouch for that. They're all great at home campus. And I can't stress this enough, as speaking as a longtime AD, this is a platform that you literally will use every single day, particularly the athletic eligibility and clearance. Imagine with just a couple of keystrokes, finding out if your softball team, whether it's the varsity team or the JV team or the middle school team, if they're eligible to practice, have they turned in all their paperwork? Seeing again, it's just you need to be in the platform to appreciate all the great things it will do for you. Kenny, thanks so much for sharing with our listeners. All the best to you and the whole home campus team, and looking forward to seeing you all down in Austin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you bet. For our listeners, go to homecampus.com, check it out. Just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews, even Tech Tuesday, to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do the segment every week, and just about every day, we try to share stories from the world of athletics along with some best practices. So come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Thanks for listening. Before we go, just one more time, shout out to Home Campus, a great platform, great company, great people that run it. If you're not currently using that type of information management, athlete organization, scheduling, eligibility program, check out homecampus.com or email Kenny at Home Campus. Before we go, let's give a shout out to all of our sponsors. We already mentioned Home Campus, but I want to say thanks to Gipper. I want to say thank you to Huddle, Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider, Snap Raise, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, Ohio University's Online Masters, and Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Thanks again for listening to this segment of Tech Tuesday. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.